Goodbye 3 Island by PokeSam. March 13th, 2002, 3 Island, Sevi Islands. Dear Diary, hello, my name is Sam. My older brother Eric bought me this diary to cope with our parents' death last month. My mother disappeared while picking berries for dinner. My dad went to go check on her after she had been gone for some time. Neither of them came back, but we didn't think anything of it at the time. The next morning, Eric and I spent a good 7 hours searching through berry forest, coming upon their twisted bodies. Around my mother's neck, I found a pendulum. March 17th, 2002, Vermilion City, Kanto. Eric and I sold the house and left 3 Island. We had enough money from the sale to buy a car. Eric said we're going to explore the whole world. To be perfectly honest, I'm kind of scared to stay at the Vermilion Inn, because just to the east I hear there are drowsies. March 20th, 2002, Cerulean City, Kanto. We're in Cerulean City visiting Eric's friend Bill. He offered me an Absol, but Eric made me decline because he is scared of Pokémon. I don't think he understands that not all Pokémon are like that Hypno. Sure, I was scared of the Drowsy, but that was understandable, right? March 22nd, 2002, Saffron City, Kanto. We went back to Saffron City, and in the morning, we were planning to board the magnet train to visit Johto. The farther away from 3 Island, the better. Bill's family lives in Goldenrod, so this could be another chance to get my hands on Absol. March 24th, 2002, magnet train between Kanto and Johto. It took 2 days of hard begging on the train, but I finally got Eric over his fear of Pokémon, at least enough to let me have one. I've already put a call into Bill, and he confirmed that his family has an Absol that I can have. If I had been offered any other Pokémon beside Absol, I would have given up after Eric first said no, but this was an Absol. Ever since I had first seen an Absol after some bikers visited 3 Island, I had wanted one. I have never known why, but I've always wanted one. March 25th, 2002, Goldenrod City, Johto. I finally retrieved my Absol. I'm the happiest person in the world right now, even though I feel bad that Eric can't accept the love that my Absol so desperately wanted to give him. I think Absol can pick up on my feelings, and that's why it's trying to cozy up to Eric. March 27th, 2002, Johto National Park, Johto. Eric and I thought it would be fun to camp out tonight. You know, hear the sounds of nature. March 31st, 2002, Ecruteak City, Johto. I've just beaten the Kimono Girls. I spoke to Morty, the local gym leader, and he wants to meet me to go meet Professor Elm. Eric says we'll go in the morning. April 2nd, 2002, Violet City, Johto. 10:30 a.m. Eric suggested that we stop in Violet City so I can challenge the gym leader. I think that he's finally warming up to the idea of me being a trainer. I've also decided on a name for Absol. I'm naming her Jane, after my mother. 4 p.m. Dear Diary, I just came back from the gym. I won without a problem, even though I only had Jane on my team. April 3rd, 2002, Mr. Pokemon's house, Route 30, Johto. I'm at Mr. Pokemon's house. He's giving me a Pokédex and an egg. He said it was found somewhere on the Sevi Islands, although he doesn't know exactly what it'll hatch into. It's already late, so he offered to shelter Eric and I for the night. April 5th, 2002, New Barktown, Johto. I just met with Professor Elm, and he asked me to run an errand of sorts for him, though he didn't tell me what. All he told me was to go to Azalea and talk to Kurt. April 7th, 2002, Violet City, Johto. We're back in Violet City on our way to Azalea. We're going on a tour of the ruins of Elf. I hear that there's a strange Pokemon there, so I'm going out to buy some Pokeballs. April 8th, 2002, Violet City, Johto. I didn't find any Pokemon in the ruins. Sad. I really wanted to give Jane a friend. I think I figured out why I wanted an Absol. It's a dark type, most powerful against Psychic. I think on some level I was always afraid of Psychic types, even before the incident. April 9th, 2002, Route 32, Pokemon Center, Johto. I'm kind of scared of Union Cave. I'm scared of the dark. But Eric says that everything will be fine. I don't think he knows that, but I'm sure he's right. After all, we have Jane. April 11th, 2002, Azalea Town, Johto. That cave was hell. I spoke to Kurt yesterday, and he gave me an old-looking Pokeball with some hieroglyphics. They looked like the ones I saw on the ruins of Elf. He told me not to open it unless I had to, but I don't know what he meant by had to. I'm pondering opening it now just to see if it would be a good friend to Jane. April 12th, 2002, Goldenrod City, Johto International Airport, Johto. Eric and I are going to Hoenn to see new sights, and hopefully new Pokémon. I wish I could have challenged Whitney, but I'm still happy to be exploring new places. April 13th, 2002, Rustboro City, Hoenn. What a sick joke, the egg that Mr. Pokémon gave me had a Drowsy in it. I've consulted with Eric and he agrees that we should get rid of it. I should probably feel bad about this, but anything in the Hypno family scares the hell out of me. Eric told me they're twin psychic gym leaders, so I think I will give it to one of them to train instead of releasing it into the wild to fend for itself. April 15th, 2002, Vendenturf Town, Hoenn. What a nice town. I met a nice kid named Wally. He wants to be a trainer, but he's too young right now. The people are friendly, and even caught a Pokemon contest. I thought about entering Jane, but she was more powerful than beautiful. The only strange thing is, I thought I saw Hypno outside of my hotel wing. Are Drowsies and Hypnos indigenous to Hoenn? April 16th, 2002, Route 117, Hoenn. 7 a.m. I had a horrible dream last night. Drowsy attacked Eric and then came after me. I don't remember what happened next, but it must have been bad because Eric woke me up and said I was screaming. I'm leaving Drowsy at the Pokemon daycare while I challenge the Moville gym. I feel like Lisa or Tate will accept it if it's a higher level. Honestly, 4:15 p.m. Watson's gym was a breeze, and now I'm going to pick up Drowsy. 4:30 p.m. The daycare lady said that Drowsy was nothing but aggressive to all of the other Pokemon, and that it was not allowed back. April 17th, 2002, Ferry to Moss Deep. 12 o'clock noon. Eric and I are taking the ferry to Moss Deep City from Slateport. I'm going to battle some of the other trainers on the ship to see if I can get some experience for Jane. 1 p.m., one of the trainers had a Machoke who took Jane down with ease. Not thinking Drowsy would do any good, I tried opening the GS ball, but inside was nothing but a pendulum was inside. Out of options, I sent out Drowsy, who picked up the pendulum and took Machoke down in one hit. Drowsy dropped the pendulum and fainted. I guess that it had a surge in power and its body shut down. 2 p.m., I decided to check the pendulum. The carvings on one side said, "It's not your fault," spelt in unknown hieroglyphs. On the other side said, "Jane" and "Harold," my parents' names, in New English. April 18th, 2002, Moss Deep City, Hoenn. Dear Diary, I met with Lisa and Tate. They took the Drowsy and said they would raise it. I thanked them and ran out of the gym as fast as I could, on account of it being a psychic gym. April 19th, 2002, Sea Ferry, International Waters. We are going to Sinnoh, but it will take a couple of days, so I will devote time to training Jane. April 20th, 2002, Three Island, Sevi Islands. I wish I would have read the brochure more carefully. We have a layover on the Three Island. I don't want to get off the boat, so I'll just go to the ship's Pokemon Arena and train. Not sure where Eric is, but I think he went to go check on the old house. April 21st, 2002, Three Island, Sevi Island. The ship broke down, so we're stuck on the island of painful memories until they fix it. I think I will go check on the house after all. April 21st, 2002, Berry Forest, Sevi Island. I'm here for closure. I'm going to use Jane to kill the Hypno that killed my parents. April 22nd, 2002, Sea Ferry, International Waters. I found a Hypno at the very deepest part of the forest. It had no pendulum, but what it did have was an icy cold stare in its eyes. Jane was ruthless. I thought about calling her off, but then I remembered that this was the exact spot where I had found my parents. I told Jane not to hold back and she killed it. I put the pendulum around its cold, dead neck and walked away. I know I swore I would never come back to Three Island, but now I'm glad I did. Today I make the same promise I made a little over a month ago. Goodbye Three Island, and goodbye Hypno. That was Goodbye Three Island. Final thoughts? A decent story that was absolutely riddled full of flaws. The story starts on a pretty bad note. The entire first diary entry is extremely clunky bit of exposition, telling us why Sam has a diary and what happened to his parents. Instead of writing this information over the course of the story, it's just lifelessly droned out right away, and it seems like Sam has no emotional attachment to the events whatsoever. It's written almost exactly how it would be written if the story was being told by an omnipotent narrator rather than someone who experienced those events. There were little grammatical errors all over the place, stuff like having no question mark after right, in "that's understandable, right?" making the verbal tone of it not what was probably intended. A much bigger one would be, if it's a higher level, honestly, I don't know what the hell happened there, but really there isn't any justification for why that wasn't fixed. Here's a tip for you writers out there that will help you catch unnecessary lines. Let's have a look at ever since I had first seen Absol when some bikers visited Three Island, I had wanted one. I have never known why, but I had always wanted one. The second line, I have never known why, but I have always wanted one, is completely superfluous. You just told us a line before that you have always wanted one. Unless there's a specific reason for wanting one, we don't need to be told that there isn't a reason. We can assume that if there was a special reason, it would be told to us. Lo and behold, we're actually told later in the story why Sam has always wanted an Absol, and it actually turns out to be a plot hole. He says he's always wanted an Absol because Dark is good against Psychic, and ever since the Drowsy incident with his parents, he was being afraid of them. However, the Drowsy incident only happened less than a full month before the very first entry, so either he hasn't always wanted an Absol, or the reason for wanting one he comes up with is completely wrong. Remember, authors at home, there is always room for improvement. Here's another fun plot hole for you. Eric and Sam think that Mr. Pokemon giving them a Drowsy egg is a sick joke, even though Sam is aware that Mr. Pokemon has no idea what Pokemon was inside the egg. Another problem I've noticed, and this one is a logical one, why would Sam write the time codes on April 2nd? He didn't make any previous entries, and unless he can see the future, he couldn't have known that he was going to make another entry about an event that hadn't happened yet. Authors, be careful about this stuff. My final line that I want to bring up, and I bring it up entirely because it's so bad it's funny. I tried opening the GS ball, but inside was nothing but a pendulum was inside. The author literally forgot his or her own wording of the sentence while writing the sentence and never fixed it. The last thing I need to say about the story is that the ending came absolutely out of nowhere. It's established that Sam is afraid of psychic Pokemon and doesn't like the Drowsy family because of what happened, but it was a massive leap in both logic and character progression to suddenly have Sam hunt down and kill the Hypno. It feels like there should have been a whole extra page of entries just to make it believable that the main character would come to that decision, but there were no such entries. That's it for this week's Creepypasta. Tune in again next week when we tackle yet another story made and sent in by the fans with Orphaned. If you want to write your own story, help peer edit a story, or even just read the stories early, check out the description where you'll find a link to the Creepypasta section of my forum. Remember that if you want your story to be read on the show, you must stay active on your post on the forum as well as read the forum rules. You'll also find a link to the playlist of every Creepypasta reading I've done. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, sweet dreams.